morning, everybody. For our welcome song, let's sing "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning, Oh, What a Beautiful Day," and we're going to do a New Thought version of it. There's a bright golden presence around me. There's a bright golden presence within me. My spirit is one with the one life divine, and the good of this life is abundantly mine. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. We're the bright, shiny image of goodness. We're the bright, shiny image of joy. A new morning's come under God's golden sun, when we all seem to know we are all really one. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Everything's going my way. Thank you.
Good morning. What a great way to start the day. It is a beautiful morning. It is a beautiful fall day. Good morning. My name is Karen. I am the Vice President of the Board of Trustees here at Unity, and it's so wonderful to see all your faces today. Thank you for coming. If you would you take a minute and greet your neighbor?
Good morning. Hi. Where did you get that fantastic fall start? Good morning. Is that another show?
Yeah, it's a chain.
Oh, okay. Okay, do you know, how do you say that? Okay. I'll have to look that up. Okay, cool. Good morning.
Don't you just love that? It's such a great way to start the day. So again, welcome to Unity the Hill Country, where we offer a positive path for spiritual living. Let's give a warm welcome for this week's guest musician, Miss India Taylor. And one of my favorite people, our guest speaker this week, Charlie Diggs. If you would please join me in our opening prayer. As we join together in heart and mind to celebrate the presence of divine, may we feel at peace, may we feel at joy, the universe filling our hearts with love. May we experience health and wholeness on all levels, mind, body, and spirit. Love that. The Christ candle is lit, calling forth our awareness of spirit. As this light shines, we set our intention to awaken the inspiration, guidance, and remembrance of our divine nature. May this flame remind us that the Christ light lives within us and among us. And if you would, please join me in affirming our Unity mission statement. To live consciously, celebrating the divine potential in all. I need like a rear view mirror so I can see behind me. It's in the past. Okay, if you would also, let's affirm our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God, the good, the omnipotent, as well as our vision statement. Revealing oneness in a world of universal peace, love, and abundance. Okay, we'd also like to acknowledge an affirmation for calling our new minister. It is with thankful hearts that we attract my perfect minister for unity of the Hill Country. Welcome to your new home. Thank you. Affirmation of prayer is essential to the unity movement. We are honored to pray with you at any time. All written prayer requests are sent to the 24/7 prayer vigil at Silent Unity. You can also call the number on the screen to have someone pray with you or submit prayers online. We now turn our attention to our sacred prayer chest. Each name and request placed within it is held in the light of our divine love and infinite wisdom. We affirm that perfect healing and guidance and peace and joy are already at work within each life. Let us now take a moment, please, to hold space for all the prayers in our congregation, in our community, and in our world. We release these prayers into the care of Spirit, trusting that all is in divine order. Thank you. The Daily Word has been giving the worldwide unity movement a daily prayer since 1924. We join with millions of Daily Word readers today throughout the world, and today's reader is no other than Brad Gilbert.
Thank you. Good morning. Today's word is appreciation, actually. So, I don't know what happened. I'm going to read from you, so just close your eyes and we're going to go on a journey together, and the slide is wrong. Appreciation keeps me in a state of gratitude. It can be easy to take the blessings in my life for granted, for the gratitude I feel to be supplanted by the busyness and concerns of everyday life. But practicing appreciation is the best way to attract even more blessings and stay open to life and love. Appreciation and gratitude keep me in a state of awe and wonder, open to the beauty of the world, the kindness of other people, and the benevolence of God. With my heart and mind open to the world's wonders, I am simply magnetic. I draw to myself blessings large and small. Synchronicities, serendipities, and all kinds of wonderful surprises come my way when I am appreciative. I live in ease and grace, aware of the presence of God and grateful every day. And from Scripture, it is Psalm 9:1. I will give thanks to the Lord with my whole heart. I will tell you all of your wonderful deeds. And the affirmation, once again, I know you can't repeat with me because you can't say it, but appreciation keeps me in the state of gratitude. Thank you for dealing with the technical difficulties.
We appreciate you, Brad. Sorry, glasses are a good thing. Okay, so great news. Y'all have hit the jackpot. Today is Abundance Sunday. Yay. After service, I should tell you what it is. Every Sunday, first Sunday of each month, we take time to honor birthdays, anniversaries, answer prayers, and everything in between. We are celebrating you. If you have something you would like to celebrate, please stand or raise your hand, and please make it known. Has anybody have any birthdays or celebrations? Yes, Miss Robin. All right. Woohoo. Congratulations. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Well, I'm just going to have to add, wow, what a coincidence. We're starting a new monthly message with our newsletter, and we're doing a member spotlight. And Robin happens to be our first inaugural honoree for Member of the Month. So you'll be seeing a story, Robin's story, in the next newsletter coming out this Thursday. It's a good one. So congratulations. Yes. Oh, great. Happy birthday, Mylene. I just like to honor Mylene. She does so much for us. She is our treasurer, and not treasurer, she's our bookkeeper, and is on the board of trustees and is tireless and does so much for us. So thank you so much for all that you do. Happy birthday. That's good. Anybody else have an announcement? Yes, Rita.
I celebrated a birthday too.
All right. Happy birthday. Awesome. All these trips around the sun. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
I am celebrating his 97th birthday.
All right. Wow. Congratulations. Wow. Wow, that's fantastic. Yes, Mr. Brad. Awesome. So, Brad, you're in the play, Mousetrap? Okay, and starts this Friday. VK Garage. Y'all don't miss it. Community theater is so important. Yes, Miss Ray. Oh, congrats. Awesome. I love that. I love stories of longevity. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for what y'all do with AV and tech. You're so valuable to us. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes. 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 Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. Happy heavenly birthday. Well put. Yes. Yes.
So I'm going to join the birthday crowd. September, it's 75 years of age.
All right. All right, Bob.
The short version, back in 1988, I met and spent the day with George Burns. It's a great story, but I'll leave that behind, but I had a great time with him. He decided that when he turned 100 years of age, he was going to play live at the London Palladium. Unfortunately, he took a fall, did not manage to play at the Palladium, and died about 3 months later. So I'm going to pick up the torch, and I plan on living to 100 and doing something absolutely profound on my 100th birthday. And then, if Creator comes to me off the planet, I'll go
I love it. Thank you for sharing. Love George Burns, him and Gracie, and then Bernadette Peters. What was the famous line between him and Gracie? Do y'all remember? Say goodnight. Yeah, goodnight. Yeah, I got it. Yep. Awesome. You know, and that's what's so wonderful about an intimate community like us, that we can do this, you know, during service and get up and share and connect. So thank you, everybody who shared today. I appreciate that. So, with that, we have lots of yummy treats and sweets. Please join us after service today for Celebration Sunday. Okay, so please join me now as we bless our celebrants. We love you, we bless you, and we appreciate you, and we behold the Christ you are. Okay, well, back to India, who's going to lead us in this week's congregational music. What a wonderful world.
Yes, and please sing along. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Thank you, India. That was beautiful. I would like to ask Mr. Charlie Diggs up to lead us all through a beautiful meditation.
Okay. I'm on. And Ray, am I mic'd? And Anita, can you hear me? Okay. It can vary, can it? Yeah. So let's take a moment, let's close our eyes and just relax in our places here. Let the outside world gently drift away. Feel yourself safe and appreciated in your own awareness and consciousness, knowing you are accepted by yourself, this congregation, and God. Feel that acceptance. Feel that appreciation. Now recall a time in your life when life just felt truly wonderful, when there was no financial concerns, when your home felt comfortable and secure, and when you were surrounded by people you loved and who loved you. Remember the harmony and the joy of that moment, knowing there are more like that to come. Know that God desires goodness and happiness for you. He knows you fully and loves you without condition. Each of us are individuals connected to Source with our own unique charm. God is your dearest friend, always cheering you on, never judging you. You are not alone in this world. You are part of the fabric of life. Imagine the table He has set for you. He has given you beautiful and a stable planet. He has given you trees to give you shade, and they provide fruits and nuts for your nourishment. And they give you lumber to build your homes. And in the summertime, He gives us watermelons to quench our thirst, and sunsets to say goodnight. The list of His gifts is so long, we could spend days naming them. Truly, He has set a generous table for us all. Really, all He asks in return is that we pause and acknowledge Him.
to appreciate the abundance around us. He asks us to honor one another with the same love we receive from him. It is an honor and a privilege to be a child of God. It is an honor and a privilege to be a child of God. And with that, let's come back and we'll figure out why it's not so good to be an atheist. Okay. I like being in this setting because unity is one of the few places where you can come and really exchange thoughts openly. So many different views are accepted and allowed. There's a real freedom of expression and a spirit of openness that sets unity apart from a lot of other churches. And I'm grateful for that. Our theme this morning is simple yet profound. It takes a lot of faith to be an atheist. You know, skeptics and scientists and atheists say that Christians really rely on faith to believe, but to believe in atheism really requires, I think, a lot more faith, because to believe that all this that is around us, all the life, the order, the love, the beauty, just came from randomness and chance. That is just hard to fathom. And I think it takes a great leap of trust to do that. And it takes great faith to believe that nothing can produce something. How did nothing produce something? Or that randomness can produce order. That's not easily done. We all live by faith in some form. We trust when we throw a ball in the air that it's going to come down. We trust that the sun will rise tomorrow, even when it's a very cloudy day. And our brains record experiences, the pain of a pinched finger or the joy of being in love. Life requires trust and faith. Atheists put their trust in what can be observed and tested. They believe the natural world as measured by mathematics and proven by repeated experiments. And yes, the unseen can be demonstrated too by science. Air can be weighed, wind can be felt, and gravity can be calculated. Yet science reveals much, but it doesn't reveal all. Believers in God, on the other hand, often feel his presence, trust his kindness, depend on his forgiveness. I say he out of tradition, but we know God transcends male and female. God holds no biases, but encompasses all. And as our faith deepens, we begin to see the presence of God in all living things. This is not measured with rulers or scales, but is experienced with the heart. Atheists must believe that life is a product of randomness and that morality and purpose emerged by chance. How can that possibly be? But even by their own science, something cannot come from nothing. 0 plus 0 still equals 0. So where did the first something come from? Christians, we have Genesis. In the beginning was the Word, and God created the heavens and the earth. What do atheists have? Well, many of them will say they have the Big Bang. Well, where did that matter come from? You need some matter to bang. Where did that matter come from? So, Mr. Atheist, please tell me where it came from. Now let's look at intelligent or divine design in nature. Consider the hummingbird. I think Ray is going to play us a clip here of hummingbirds. I have faith. So hummingbirds, they can flap their wings at 80 beats per second. Not per minute, but per second, as much as 80. When you look at sparrows, it's just 20. Pigeons is just 5. 5 flaps per second. Well, that's a staggering difference. And you know that evolution depends on mutations and gradual changes. Well, how do you make this quantum leap from 5, 20, all the way up to 80? That's quite significant. Plus, they can fly backwards, forwards, sideways, even upside down. They defy what evolutionists would tell us. When I see it's much easier to see the ingenious hand of God than evolution at work, just by observing nature. And so beautiful. And plus, you know, not only they are unique design, but they fit into the ecosystem because they're pollinators. So they've been designed with a purpose and to add beauty. And we're going to move on to caterpillars and butterflies. So if you take a caterpillar and a butterfly, the butterfly begins as an egg, becomes a beautiful caterpillar, and then it dissolves inside a cocoon or a chrysalis. It just becomes a living soup inside. Just dissolves itself into a soup. And then from that soup, the DNA, the design of the God that put this in place, rearranges all those chemicals and molecules and makes a beautiful butterfly. So pretty and so, and some of them have the ability to fly thousands of miles to migrate. And they too are pollinators, and they're like living, flying works of art. And what in the world does butterfly hurt? Hurts absolutely nothing, does it? I don't think randomness can explain this. Explain the transformation, but I think intelligence, artistry, and purpose from a designer does. And then you go to something that's not quite as beautiful as a butterfly. Let's talk about an electric eel. So it lives in the murky waters of, that water's not so murky, but it's probably in a tank, but really it was designed to live in the murky waters, fresh waters of South America. And because it's in an environment where you can't see very good and there's not much oxygen, well, they come to the surface to breathe. And that's one unique thing already. And also, oh, that poor dog, if you have the sound on, that poor dog is just going, when it bites into that eel. So, but they can control the intensity of their electricity too. So, yeah, these guys. So if they're just kind of feeling their way around, they send out little pulses, and they can navigate with that. And when they want to kill something to eat, well, then they send out a stronger shock wave. And, or if they're frightened by a predator. And if they're really excited, they can fly out of the water and rub up against you and give you a full dose. They've learned to do that too. So they've adapted or created that way. You know, sometimes we're so used to thinking in those scientific terms that we sometimes fall back into, oh, they adapted that way. Well, they were probably created that way. Although you can think of evolution and then adaptation along with it. I think that happens too, but primarily it's creation. So with these electric eels, they were studied back in the 1800s or 1700s, I think. And they learned how to make our first batteries from them. They studied them and they stole that technology. And God was probably flattered, or he said, copycats. But they're rather marvelous. So atheists, they like to put a lot of faith in the brain. They credit it with giving us skyscrapers, computers, being able to fly a plane and inventing a plane. But is thought only the product of the brain? Abstract reasoning, mathematics, and morality do not appear to be contained in neurons. They point to a greater consciousness. And consciousness is not easily explained by chemistry. So I want to show you a video now. I'm going to take a long break because this video is going to be about 13 minutes long. But it's from a neurosurgeon, and he was once an atheist and now a believer in God. And his testimony is really quite fascinating. And he'll talk about the brain too. You're going to learn a lot from this if you don't already know it. His name is Dr. Michael Egnor, and there's a guy that's interviewing him, so you'll see a little back and forth. So just sit back, relax, and take it in, and then I'll come back and talk some more.
Evidence for the soul overwhelming. Our guest today is a former materialist who rejected belief in the soul. But because of his work and research as a surgeon, he now believes the scientific evidence is compelling. Why did he change his mind, and what is that evidence? Well, you're about to find out. We welcome for the first time Dr. Michael Egnor, author of the new book that I endorsed and found fascinating. It's called The Immortal Mind. Dr. Egnor, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Sean. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, the book starts with this fascinating, jarring story that when I read it, I went to my wife and I was like, you've got to hear this story. It's somewhat of a conversion story before you get into the scientific evidence for the soul. Since you start the book there, let's start this interview with your powerful conversion story.
Sure. I was born into a kind of a non-religious family as a child. And I fell in love with science at a very early age. And I thought that all the mysteries of life, all the really meaningful things that one could be discovered with science. So I believed in the Darwinian way of understanding man and physics and chemistry and all those things. And I majored in biochemistry in college, and I wanted to be a doctor, and I really wanted to be a neurosurgeon because I wanted to understand the brain and the mind. Because I thought that I would understand on a deep level who we are and what we are if I knew all the science there was to know about the brain. So I graduated from medical school. I trained in neurosurgery and graduated from my residency in 1991 and went out and practiced as a neurosurgeon. And a number of things happened to me as a neurosurgeon and as a husband and a father that changed the way I look at the world. As a neurosurgeon, I began finding patients who had large parts of their brains missing. A good example was a little girl who was born with only about half her brain. And I counseled her family that this didn't look good. I couldn't be sure how she would do, but it didn't look encouraging. And as she grew up, I followed her, and she was normal at every stage of development. In fact, rather bright.
Wow.
She's now in her mid-20s and a vibrant, normal young woman, has a great job. Her mother says she's too smart for her own good, and she has half a brain. I have a number of other patients with major parts of their brains missing who are really okay, who are really fine. And that didn't fit any of the neuroanatomy textbooks that I read in medical school. There were strange things going on there. The whole thing kind of came to a head when I was operating many years ago on a woman who had a brain tumor in her left frontal lobe. And we do awake brain surgery at times. And what awake brain surgery means is that the patient is given a local anesthetic like Novocaine, so they don't feel pain. The brain itself has no sensation of pain, so it's just like cutting your hair. You don't feel anything. And we can stimulate the surface of the brain and get a map of the critical parts of the brain. So, for example, if I'm removing a tumor, I can find out what parts I have to protect and what parts I can safely remove to get the tumor out. So it makes the operation safer. So she was awake, and I was taking out the tumor and taking out much of the left frontal lobe of her brain, and we were having a conversation. And it was a perfectly normal conversation. It's the same kind of conversation you and I are having here right now, as her big part of her brain is coming out. And it didn't seem to make any difference in her conversation. Fortunately, that was the whole point of the surgery, was to keep her healthy. And after that operation, I thought, my goodness gracious, we don't understand what the brain does. There's something deeper here, because none of my textbooks said you could take out most of the left frontal lobe and have a person be perfectly normal. At around the same time, I had a religious conversion, one might say, and it was related intellectually to some of my doubts about Darwinism. I began reading more deeply about the Darwinian explanation for how we became human, and it struck me as pretty weak science. I thought it was pretty bad science. I didn't look at it at that point from a religious standpoint. I just thought of all the scientific disciplines I knew, this is the one that I think was the least rigorous. But I have 4 kids, and when my youngest son was born, the first couple months of life, he wasn't making eye contact, and he wasn't smiling, and he wasn't behaving as if he understood my wife and I to be people. We were like objects to him. And I became frightened that he was autistic. And autism has always terrified me, the idea that you have a child who you love and want to connect with, and they don't even know you exist. You're just like a piece of furniture to them. So I was quite frightened of it. We took him to some neurologists, and they said, it's too young. He's just a few months old. You really can't be sure. So by the time he was about 6 months old, he still wasn't making eye contact and wasn't really interacting with us. And I was seeing a consult, a patient at an outside hospital. It was a Catholic hospital. And I was at a point where I was emotionally really, really distraught by this. I was thinking, I'm never going to love my son. I'm never going to have my son love me. He's never going to know me. So after I saw the consult, it was late at night. There was a chapel in the hospital, so I stopped by the chapel, and I went into the chapel, and I got down in front of the altar and prayed, and I said, God, I don't know if you exist. I don't make praying a habit, but if you do exist, could you take this away from me, please? This is something I can't deal with. I can't have my son be autistic and not know me. And I heard a voice, only time in my life I've ever heard a voice, and it was very clear, and it wasn't me saying it. And the voice said, but that's what you're doing to me.
Whew.
So I said, I kind of collapsed, and I said, okay, I won't do it to you anymore. I won't be autistic to you. But please make my son not autistic to me. So went home, and a few days later was his 6-month birthday, and he was perfectly normal. He's perfectly fine. He's currently a law student and anything but autistic. That complemented in some sense my discoveries as a surgeon and in neuroscience, that there's a lot more to man than just meat. that we do have souls, that there's a spiritual aspect to us. So I converted to Christianity, got baptized. Many people in my family also got baptized. Since I had spent several decades of my life as an atheist and a materialist, I kind of feel like I have a debt to repay. Wouldn't call it vengeance, but I want to convey to people that atheism and materialism are wrong, and that God exists and that He's real, and that we really do have souls. So I began looking more deeply into the neuroscience of the brain and the soul, to try to explain why I'd seen these strange things with people with parts of their brains missing who are perfectly normal, that I can take out part of a woman's frontal lobe as I'm talking to her, and it doesn't change her. And I found that there were other neurosurgeons and other scientists who really had seen the same kind of thing, that I wasn't the first person to notice this. The greatest scientist in the neurosurgical profession was a guy named Wilder Penfield, who worked back in the mid-20th century in Montreal, and he pioneered the surgery of epilepsy. And one of his most common operations was awake brain surgery, the sort of thing that I had done with the woman with the tumor. And he did about 1,100 patients with awake brain surgery. So no one's ever come anywhere near that, those kind of numbers. Awake brain surgery is still done today, but if you do a few hundred in your life, it's a large volume. So Penfield really was responsible for a lot of the mapping of the brain that we know about today, because he operated on all these over 1,000 people and mapped all kinds of areas of their brain. And he would map it by stimulating with a little electrical probe the surface of the brain while they were awake. And he would ask them what they felt or what they saw, or see if they moved. And he found peculiar things, and that really surprised him, because he had started out as a materialist just like I had. He found that when he would stimulate the brain, and he must have stimulated the brain at least 1 million times in these 1,100 patients. Well, if you count out, say, 2 stimulations a minute, and the operations last about 8 hours, I actually did the math.
Yeah.
It's over 1 million stimulations. Okay. He could only stimulate 4 things from the brain. He could make the person move. He could stimulate the motor area, and they'd raise their arm. He could make them have a perception, let's see a flash of light, or smell something, or hear something. He could make them have an emotion. There are parts of the brain where if you stimulate it, you can get a powerful emotion. You can get fear or joy. There's a part of the brain that makes you laugh, that if you stimulate that, you feel like everything's funny. And he could stimulate memories. He could stimulate certain parts of the temporal lobe, and you'd have a memory of your mother's face, or a memory of a conversation that you'd had years before. But those were the only things he could stimulate. And what he left out is everything we're doing right now. He couldn't stimulate abstract thought. He couldn't stimulate the ability to contemplate philosophy, or to think about the meaning of life. He couldn't stimulate mathematics. Nowhere in the brain could he stimulate someone to say, 1 + 1 is 2. He couldn't stimulate logic, or history, or music, all the different kind of abstract, higher level things we do. And he came to the conclusion, because he was a pretty honest man, he said, well, maybe I can't stimulate abstract thought because it doesn't come from the brain. Maybe the brain is necessary ordinarily for the exercise of abstract thought. If you drink too much alcohol, or if you get hit on the head, you may not think as clearly for a while. But that doesn't mean that the thought comes from the brain. So he said that he called abstract thought mind action. He said that you can't stimulate mind action from the brain. You can stimulate individual things: movement, perception, emotion, and memory. But that's it. And then he looked back at the whole record of seizures, epilepsy. Looked back at thousands of cases of epilepsy. And he found exactly the same thing. When people have epileptic seizures, they do certain things. They can go unconscious, but not always. Sometimes they're awake when they have the seizure, and they have movements, or they have perceptions. Sometimes you have memories. Sometimes you have emotions, but there are no calculus seizures. No one's ever had a seizure where they couldn't stop doing mathematics. And Penfield said, why not? If mathematics comes from the brain, and there have been hundreds of millions of seizures, once in a blue moon, you'd trigger off 1 + 1 = 2, and you couldn't stop. He said it never happens. So the same thing that he found with seizures is what he had found with the awake brain surgery, that the brain is an organ that only does certain things. And the main things it does is it makes us move, it makes us perceive, makes us remember, and gives us emotions. But it doesn't serve as the source for abstract thought. So that was a remarkable finding, and it's been pretty much ignored within the neuroscience community. You read textbooks and people talk about it. I've had debates with neuroscientists where they say, "Oh, that Penfield study. I mean, that was 100 years ago. We have much better studies now." And the reality is, we don't have much better studies now. These were on 1,100 people, over 1 million stimulations by a first-rate scientist who studied the results. And nothing we do nowadays comes anywhere near that kind of detail and that kind of rigor. So Penfield's work, I think, is amazing. He wrote a book called Mystery of the Mind. If viewers are interested in that, it's available on Amazon, where he recounts all of his experiences. He also found that free will doesn't come from the brain.
Sorry, interruption. We can see that thought doesn't come solely from the brain. There's scientific evidence. That's the thing that atheists and scientists want to say is there's scientific evidence. Well, but there's scientific evidence now that points the other direction. And really what I think has happened, this is my insider prediction, is that we had a God, but that God got transformed for power reasons. So that God was now a God of guilt and rules. And so when science came to be, and there was a way to look at things without having to believe in a God that was going to do that to you or was going to judge you after you died, we started going in that direction. Well, I can understand that. But now, through different teachings, we know, like even with the Course in Miracles, that guilt is not part of God at all. And so I think there's going to be a reckoning of that philosophy of everything is from nature and God doesn't have anything to do with it. But because we're not going to have to be associated God with guilt anymore, that those two are going to come together. And I hope it comes together quickly, because it just keeps us apart and going in the wrong direction. Even Ramtha, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of Ramtha, but Ramtha was somebody that channeled through a lady called J.Z. Knight, and actually they're probably still active. Anyway, he said that the brain is not the originator of thought, but is the receiver of thought. And he also said that you're an extension of God. You're an extension of God. So in the Course in Miracles, it talks of you being a co-creator. So if you come into that Christ consciousness, and now you can co-create in this plane, you can manifest things on this plane, well, now you're part of God. So when you think of, well, how does God, one person, keep track of everything that goes on? Well, it doesn't have to be that way. It's a general force, a general understanding, a general spirit. And when all this was created here, you probably have groups of gods, extensions of God, who worked on insects. Sometimes some of them worked on fishes, some worked on birds. And so you have this explosion of creation, really. And actually, they're starting to find that the fossil records support that. It's that evolution isn't gradual. Well, evolution is gradual, but creation is not, and the fossil records are not. So there's going to be a reckoning that way too. And even Nikola Tesla, he pioneered the work in electricity, alternating currents, and wireless transmission. He said his brain was only a receiver. And he would just get lost. And, people would say seemed like he was lost, but he was in a stream of consciousness. And he was a brilliant, brilliant person. So when I look at hummingbirds, I look at butterflies, and I look at electric eels, or even our ability to think beyond ourselves, I do not see chance. And when I see elephants, the elephant trunk has over 150,000 muscles. 150,000 muscles. Wow, that's just so staggering. And when you think of octopuses, they have 9 brains, one for each one of their tentacles, and one for the centralized coordination of things. And their muscles, actually the muscles in the octopus are similar to the muscles in the elephant. But look at their worlds apart as far as evolution. How did that happen? So I see genius and I see purpose. I see God. That's why I say I think it's sad when atheists and agnostics, they can't make this intuitive connection of things. And so they're left with just kind of a dull world to my mind. I feel for them. That's why I say it takes great faith to be an atheist. And then if you contemplate our DNA, our DNA, it is just, in each cell, as our prior speaker, David, told us last week, we have trillions of cells in a single body. And in each one of those cells is 6 foot long of DNA. Well, how does that fit? Well, it's so infinitely small as far as thickness. So if I was to say proportionally, that this is the thickness of DNA, you know how long this straw would have to be the length of DNA as opposed to the diameter or the thickness? It would have to go to Anchorage, Alaska, and another 500 miles. So how does that just happen randomly in nature? And then plus to have within it all this information that is the blueprint for a human body. How does that happen? Bill Gates said that DNA is like a computer program, but it's much, much more sophisticated than anything we've ever created. And that's really what this is. It goes a long way, although I don't know if you've ever been to Anchorage, but it's a long way up there. Now that was discovered by 2 British scientists, the DNA was, back in 1953. And they discovered that double helix. Well, it's the chemistry, the biochemistry, the physics, the strength of materials, it's geometry, it's all those things coming together to allow that 6 foot to coil up into a little nucleus of a cell you can't even see, and to contain all that information. I mean, to me, that is just mind-boggling. So I feel for atheists as they see a world that's created by randomness, chance, and natural selection. A dog-eat-dog competitive world. That's their core belief. That's kind of sad. And I feel for agnostics too, because, they don't have enough faith, that they're kind of on the fence. If I believe this way, I'll do this, but I don't have enough faith to really believe in God. So you really can't have enough faith to make things happen. You have to have faith in order to endure things and keep going in a certain direction. And I think they lack that, and for that, I feel for them. they have to kind of proceed in darkness, don't they? Whereas believer in God are on sure ground, knowing that when they combine with God, they can manifest things and things will happen. And so I will say one last time, it takes great, great faith to be an atheist. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. That was wonderful. Very, very thought-provoking. And now we have some special music from our guest musician, India.
All right, and this is by special request from Charlie that we sing, I Can See Clearly Now, the Rain Is Gone. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Let's do that again. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. I think I can make it now, the pain is gone. All of the bad feelings have disappeared. Here is the rainbow I've been praying for. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. Look all around, there's nothing but blue skies. Look straight ahead, there's nothing but blue skies. I can see clearly now, the rain is gone. I can see all the obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. 2 more times. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day. It's gonna be a bright, bright, sunshiny day.
Thank you, India. I just want to mention Charlie has been our mentor and facilitator of the Course of Miracles study group that meets here on Mondays at 4. And we've transitioned to a new book series by Paul Selig. And the one we're reading now is The Book of Love and Creation. And it is amazing. It'll actually just shift your energy and your own vibration. I think it does, reading it. And we have a wonderful group. So again, that's Mondays at 4. So there's a brain and there's a mind? There's a brain and a mind. Okay, there's a brain and then there's a mind. I'm going to tell you my quick funny story. So I've always been fascinated. I'm also a Texas master naturalist with bioluminescence. So, insects and aquatic animals that have that ability to light up, in dark spaces, scorpions, squids, fish, octopus, always, forever, my entire life. So I've been taking Prevagen, that memory supplement. Yes, I do take a memory supplement, and you're welcome. And I was looking at the back of it, and I was like, why is this effective? Is it effective? And I was reading, and the number one main ingredient, do y'all know what it is? It's the chemical that causes bioluminescence in animals. And so if I start to glow, just let me Just let me know. But it's interesting. I was like, wow, it's strange. Anyway, okay, so welcome first timers. If this is your first time at Unity, we are glad you are here. We hope that you find this to be a place of like-minded people and a place to belong. We teach spiritual tools that can help you no matter what is going on in your life. And if you'd like, an usher can bring you a welcome packet, or you can grab one on your way out. If you're not signed up for our email newsletter, please put your name on the clipboard outside in the corridor as you leave. We now have an opportunity to support our spiritual cooperative. As we prepare our gifts, we do recognize that giving is an act of love, faith, and spiritual connection. Please bless what you're giving now and join us in our offering affirmation. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am and all that I give and all that I receive. Send it forth with my blessings and my love. And we have our offering song.
Freely, freely I have received. Freely, freely I give. Divine love through me blesses all that I am, all that I give and receive, all that I give and receive. Freely, freely I have received. Freely, freely I give. Divine love through me blesses all that I am, all that I give and receive.
All right, let's bless our abundance. We open our hearts in gratitude as we release these donations. We send these gifts forward through our congregation and into our world, blessing all that it affects. Amen. Thank you. All right, we've got some quick announcements. All right, October 25th. So y'all know me as Karen, but in the month of October, I am the queen of Halloween. So we have a really fun, adventurous, little mystical workshop we're going to host here on October 25th, Saturday at 10 a.m. to 12:30. We're going to take a mystical journey to the unseen realm and awaken the magic of an aromatic alchemy blend with Diana James. And if y'all don't know Diana, she is amazing. A expert master in alchemy and making essential oil blends. And the first hour from 10 to 11, she's going to talk to us about how we can connect with our spirit guides around us, the non-physical world. And then we're going to take a break. We're going to have some sweet treats and a cauldron of fun punch and brew. And then from noon to 12:30 to 1:30, she's going to teach us how to make our own essential oil, which is going to be super fun. So that is, again, Saturday the 25th, 10 to 12:30. All you ghouls, bring your ghoul friends. We'll have a good time. I was pleased she is doing a courtesy rate for Unity of the Hill Country. It's $22 for the entire course, and that gives you your essential oil blend and your bottle, and we're going to have a fun time. And our next event is the Pet Blessing. So excited about this. So on November 1st, on Saturday, November 1st, out here in our breezeway, our Diana James is also a master Reiki master with pets and healing. She will be down here, and we'll all just line up with your pet, your cat, your dog, your turtle, your snake, your parrot, and she is going to bless your pet for health and healing and communicate with you as the pet owner if she's picking up anything in terms of ailments or if they have a special message for you. It's the real deal, folks, I promise. So that is Saturday, November 1st, and that is for a love offering. And then later that day, we are going to be, again, the host site for a national documentary that's being shown through Suzanne Geisman, The Wolf's Message. That'll start at 4 o'clock for the documentary. And then Suzanne Geisman herself will be streaming in live to answer questions with the audience for Q&A. So a really amazing story. You don't want to miss it. And the Board of Trustees, we are seeking another volunteer to serve on our board. This is an opportunity to be of sacred service to our ministry. If you or have an idea for new activities or initiatives for us for Unity, we'd love to talk with you about being on the board. So just once a month. Please see us after service. And we've reached the end of our gathering. Please rise up. Let's circle and join hands. And please, we're going to sing the peace song and end our gathering with the prayer of protection. And please join us for Celebration Sunday afterwards.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous fall. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin